good, YouTube? This is Charles, the face of trade tables, and we are back with another deck profile for you guys that is starring our boy Vista Starfrost and the Mannadium Engine. Um, I know it's been a little bit since I put up a deck list, but I've been working on this one. And I've been keeping it under wraps, trying to make sure that I actually perfected the list the way I wanted to. Still think there's a little hiccups here and there, but without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this list. Now, this list is definitely Starfrost featuring Dino with the new Dino Engine that came out in Wild Survivors. So, just wanted to give it a test run to see how I liked it did for the week, and it actually performed pretty well. The deck actually went in 3 local tournaments I played in this week. I went 11-2. One tournament I actually went. It was a smaller tournament with like 8 or 9 players. Went undefeated. The next 2 tournaments I went, I had 1 loss in each one of those, losing to a Kashira player. So both times I lost to Kashira. A lot of it was due to Shifter being a problem with this deck, as well as if your opponent knows where to hand trap you and you don't open like the super optimal combo, you kind of, the deck does kind of fall apart a bit. But it is pretty spicy, and anybody who wants to give this deck a try, I definitely suggest it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start off. We play, of course, 3 Vista Starfrost. This card is 100% the most important card of the deck. You absolutely must play this at 3. I strongly suggest anybody who's playing Starfrost combo decks or Mannadium itself, pure Mannadium, whatever the situation is, you should play 3 Vista Starfrost. Card is way too important. All right, on from there, we did play 3 Mannadium Meek. This is the only tuner that we played in this list. We did not play Fearless. A lot of the reason is because it's already a big deck. It's like 44 cards, so we didn't want to like overload it with too many tuners, and we already have with the Dino Engine more extra cards to pop and trigger and plus off of. So yeah, we didn't play Fearless with this list. We did still play 3 Riemhard. This card is inherently by itself a 1 card Baron de Fleur with the Mannadium deck if your opponent doesn't stop it. So I think it's still absolutely worth playing at 3. If your hand is not most optimal, but you have this, you can normal summon, search accession, pop itself, and then pretty much just go from there and, make summon Starfrost to the board. We did play 1 Reichhardt. I still am only on 1 of each of the Scarecrow cards, but I'm thinking about upping it to 2. Maybe not with this list specifically, but it's very much possible that we're going to up it to 2. But that is it for the Starfrost and Mannadium Engine. On to the next engine. We played 3 Baby Ceratosaurus. Now, surprisingly enough, this is the most important card of the Dino Engine. This is why this one is at 3. This is the card that you want to see, the card you want to open up with, the card that you want in your hand when you're starting your combos, whether it be with Starfrost, whether it be with Obsession, whether it be with the new Dino Searcher spell. This is the card that you want to have in your hand. After that, most of the rest of the dinos in the deck were a bunch of 1-ofs, which we played 1 Petite Pterodon to actually add on with the Baby Ceratosaurus. We played 1 Soul Eater Oviraptor. We did play 1 Vanilla Megalodon Smasher X, 1 Jorak Alio, 1 Miscellaneousaurus, 1 Xenometeorus, 1 Scrap Raptor, and 1 Giant Rex. Those are, I know, a lot of 1-ofs, but like they were all specific combo pieces and useful cards in combo that you need, and so I played 1-of each one of them. So the Dino Engine is pretty heavy. I can admit that there were some times where it got a little bricky, but there are so many combo lines that you can do that sometimes when you draw one of those pieces or one of those cards, it didn't matter. All right. The other spice of the deck, we do play a Dino Engine, which means that we also run a couple Yangzines. We run one Bien and one Chiwin. Bien and Chiwin is for set up for to add an extra Omni Negate to the deck for your opponent's turn, which you guys will see once you see the extra deck. All right. The only hand trap we do play is 3 Ash Blossom. That's it. We only played 3 Ash Blossom. We didn't play anything else for hand traps. We were trying to stay consistent and have as many combo pieces as possible. So, yeah, this was that was the monster list. All right, so that's the Dino Engine plus the 1 hand trap that we did play in the main board. On to our spells and traps. So we played only 2 Fossil Dig. This card is not that important to open with, so I thought 2 was perfectly fine. But this card, Xeno Ground, or Ground Xeno, I should say. Ground Xeno, this is probably one of the best cards that you can open with, especially with your baby Ceratosaurus. It does so much, so you want to see this card in your hand turn 1, no matter what, if possible. Just if you can get to baby Ceratosaurus, especially with this card, yeah, it's amazing. All right. We did play 3 Mannadium Obsession. This card also with baby Ceratosaurus is insane. It's like Starfrost, this card, or Ground Xeno, all were full combo with baby Ceratosaurus, 100%. The best. As well as this, because this card searches Starfrost. So if you open this with baby Ceratosaurus, full combo. We literally had, there were 8, 9 different variants, I think, to get to full combo with this deck. So it was pretty consistent for the most part. It was pretty consistent. Last time I ate the Scare Cost field spell, and then Arrival. And then to top off, because we didn't play hand traps, we did main 2 talents, and of course 1 Called by the Grave. And last but not least, the only trap cards we played 1 Reframing and 1 9 Pillars. This for the Yang Engine. This just gave us 2 searchable Omni Negate counter traps for the deck. All right. So that is the main deck. The main deck is 44 cards. All right. On to the extra deck. Starting off with just the fusion monsters we played. We did play the Transcendosaurus, Giant Zolar. This card is actually pretty neat. It's a really good extender because you do a lot of your combo plays without normal summoning. So this card, summoning this and then adding a dino back to your hand, pretty much allows you to get an extender out of it, something to set up for the normal summon of the deck. All right. And of course, we play 2 Vicious Astrolabe. I love this card. This card is the only reason why, one of the main reasons why I play Starfrost decks in the first place. This card is insane. All right. On to our synchros. Of course, we played the 1 Baron de Fleur. We still play the Chaos Angel. This card still comes in clutch and helpful in combos. We do still play the Bistio Despater. There are some times where you will open pretty much only Mannadium cards to combo up with no dinos, and so you still want this stuff here because you're going to do the basic Mannadium combos. All right. From there, we only played the XL Synchron, no Stardust this time. The reason why is, yes, sometimes you do open those awkward hands where it's just a Mannadium, but most of the time you don't. It's quite a mix, and you actually get to play around Nib quite a bit with the Dino Engine. So playing the Stardust just seemed a little excessive and unnecessary. We played a couple of 6s, which is Charge Warrior and Coral Dragon. They do come up from time to time. And then here are a couple of the new additions to the extra deck. We played 1 Dinglong because this card is back in the game now, and I was like, hey, why not? Let's add an Omni Negate to our deck if possible. If you're playing a Synchro deck and can make Dinglong, you might as well go for it. One Herald the Arclight. This is the card that we use the Bien and Chiwin to synchro into on our opponent's turn to give us one more Omni Negate. On top of the fact it becomes a synchro monster that cannot be destroyed by battle, which means that they need to remove it by some sort of card effect, which you can pretty much negate that in the first place. We do play 1XYZ, which is Doka. There's a combo line that you guys will see here shortly that allows us to go into Doka instead of going into Appo. So stick around for the combo part of this video and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then the only 3 Link monsters we play is 1 Lightheart, 1 Cross Sheep, and 1 Appo. And that is it. 15 card extra deck. The deck, like I said, played really well. I think, like I said, it was for the whole week, 3 tournaments. We had 11 wins, 2 losses, both losses to Kashira. Performed extremely well all week. So I definitely suggest you guys just give it a try if you appreciate it. But we're not going to hold it up too much longer. This video is going to be long. So we're going to go ahead and get to the combo portion of this video, guys. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with probably the most important and best combo in this particular build. I came up with this combo myself. There are multiple ways to get to this specific line, which is like any way to get to Starfrost plus any way to get to Baby. So there are multiple ways to get to this line with this deck, and it's probably the best line that there is for the deck, right? So we're going to go ahead and start this off. All right, so basically what you want to do is you're going to normal summon Baby Ceratosaurus, and then from there, activate Starfrost, targeting Baby Ceratosaurus. You destroy the Ceratosaurus, special your Starfrost. All right, trigger Ceratosaurus effect, Baby Ceratosaurus effect, and we're going to summon a Soul Eater Oviraptor, which we will then trigger its effect to add Miscellaneous Saurus. Now, here at this point, you can use Miscellaneous Saurus. This is going to protect your dinos for the remainder of the turn. Alright? And you're setting yourself up to basically have a backup plan if your opponent has Nib. Like, most of the combos in this deck is going to be based around pretty much playing around Nib and hoping that your opponent doesn't have too many other hand traps as well to, throw your game off. Alright, so from there, after you've done this, we're going to save the Miscellaneous Saurus for later. We're going to then start our Starfrost combo, Scareclaw Starfrost combo, which we will link summon into Lightheart. Lightheart is going to search Reichphobia. We'll activate Reichphobia to then search for Reichheart. Then, of course, if you know the line, you special Reichheart in the zone next to Lightheart. We then grab our Scareclaw Arrival. Alright? We play a Scareclaw Arrival and we target our Starfrost. Starfrost summon to the field. Alright? And then from there, this is where we make our first synchro play. Alright? So at this point, your opponent can't nib you. If they nib you here, we have a pivot line that allows us to still get a couple interruptions. All right, but it won't be amazing. It's just a pivot line that'll at least make it so that we don't just completely get blown out. All right, but otherwise, just sticking to the main combo. We will then synchro for 10. We make Baron. So at this point, now we are not worried about Nib as much. If your opponent was a bad player and didn't play the Nib, we don't care about it anymore. But it's now our first interruption on the board. Okay, so here is where we will now activate our Miscellaneous Saurus, banishing it and one other dino from the graveyard, so that we can summon a level 2 dino from our deck. Okay, so we will then summon another Baby Ceratosaurus. The reason why we wait to this time is because we want to make sure we get the Baron on the board before we summon the Baby Ceratosaurus, because if we do, we won't have any other dinos to trigger Soul Eater Oviraptor later on, and Baron can pop the Baby Ceratosaurus. So we're going to use Baron's effect, pop the Baby Ceratosaurus. We will then trigger Baby Ceratosaurus effect to summon the Petite Pterodon. And then from there, we will then trigger Soul Ear Oviraptor to pop the Petite Pterodon and summon the Baby Ceratosaurus back. Petite Pterodon's effect can trigger, and we will summon Xenometeorus. Okay, so at this point, we will now continue our normal combo that you normally see with Mannadium, and we're gonna go ahead and link with our Oviraptor and our Lightheart into Cross Sheet. And then from there, we can then banish our 1521 and Starfrost from the graveyard and summon a Vicious Astroud. Okay, this is the Vicious Astroud. We're going to, well, actually, first we will trigger Sheep's effect, summoning back a level 4 lower from the deck because there's a fusion monster, as well as pumping the attack of monsters on the board. We then link these into a link 4, summoning Apple. We have now an Apple with 3 negates. All right. So now that we have gotten this taken care of, we can now use the effect of our Xenometeorus, which only locks us for the rest of the turn. So we can do all the combo plays that we want. And then afterwards, activate this effect, and for the rest of the turn, we can only summon dragons, sea serpents, dinos, and worms from the extra deck. Okay, so we'll trigger this, destroying the Baby Ceratosaurus in order to special summon a Megalo Smasher, triggering Baby Ceratosaurus effect, special Direct Alien. From there, we can now Synchro Summon into a 5, summoning Denlong, which Denlong will then add 9 pillars. This will give us another interruption. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions. All right. We will then set up for our 6th interruption for our opponent's turn by activating Denlong's effect, sending Chi-Win to the graveyard, so that when we, on our opponent's turn, activate 9 pillars, destroying the Denlong, we will then trigger Denlong Chainlink 1, Chi-Win Chainlink 2. Chi-Win will get to summon itself. Chi-Win will get to summon itself. Denlong will summon Bien from the main deck, and then Bien can trigger effect to Synchro Summon on opponent's turn, making an Arclight, which pretty much gives us our 6th interruption. So at this point in time, with that, we would end up with 6 interruptions, one of them being a counter trap to play around Dark Ruler and Droplets, if your opponent doesn't have a trap card to discard with it. And we have 3 monster negates plus 2 other Omni negates via monster effects. So the combo is pretty solid. When your opponent has 6 cards in your hand, you should be able to stop all 6 cards, potentially. You have a pretty high chance, unless it's 6 spells and traps, then obviously you lose an opportunity to stop 2 of those. But this is combo number 1, and I think it's pretty solid. It's something I came up with myself. Now we'll just go ahead and get on to combo number 2. Alright guys, so this is combo number 2, which sometimes you don't open with Starfrost, so maybe it's just a heavy dino hand, so this is the combo that you would probably go with if you don't see Starfrost and you see dinos, okay? So we have Baby Ceratosaurus, Ground Xeno, alright? So starting off, we're going to activate Ground Xeno, alright? In Ground Xeno, we will then search for Xenometeorus, and we destroy the Baby Ceratosaurus. Okay. We will then trigger Baby Ceratosaurus effect as Chainlink 1. If your opponent has no response, Chainlink 2 will be Xenometeorus. We summon Xenometeorus, and then we will summon here at this point a Petite Pterodon from the deck. Okay. From there, we will then use Xeno effect to pop the Petite Pterodon and summon our vanilla, which is Megalodon, or however you pronounce it, Megalo Smasher. All right. and then trigger the Petite effect and summon Solio Oviraptor. Solio Oviraptor's effect will then add Miscellaneousaurus. So at this point in time, we have 4 summons. This allows us to now set ourselves up to protect ourselves from Nib. So now we will then use Miscellaneousaurus effect, discarding it, and now our dinosaurs are completely protected from the Nibiru for the rest of this turn or main phase, right? From there, we will then trigger our graveyard effect, the second effect of our ground Xeno, banishing it and using these 2 as fusion material to summon our Transcendosaurus, and trigger his effects on summon to add. We're gonna add back the Petite Pterodon to our hand. Okay. Due to the fact that we have not normal summoned yet, this now we can take advantage of. We will normal summon the Petite Pterodon. We now can trigger Oviraptor's effect, destroying the Petite Pterodon to then special summon Baby Ceratosaurus from the graveyard. Triggering Petite Pterodon's effect to special summon a Scrap Raptor from the deck. We will then trigger Scrap Raptor's effect, destroying the Baby Ceratosaurus, where we can now trigger Baby Ceratosaurus effect to special summon our Jirac Alio. Okay, so at this point in time, in the combo, we're still protected from Nib. We haven't summoned anything outside of dinosaurs yet, so we now want to basically make sure that we protect ourselves from Nib continually so that it doesn't affect the board state. So we will first overlay now into Doka. So now with Doka on the board, if your opponent has Nib, they have to have Imperm as well, or they are not going to be able to Nib our board. All right. Now that we have that, we have not used our Miscellaneousaurus effect yet. So we will now use Miscellaneousaurus, banishing it and 3 other dinos. 1, 2, and 3 to summon a level 4 from our deck. Okay, so those are banished. We will then summon a Giant Rex. Right? So now we have a level 5 synchro play. We will synchro for 5. And because we are locked because of our Meteosaurus effect, we can only summon worms, dragons, sea serpents, and dinosaurs from the extra deck. So we will summon our Dinglong. Dinglong's effect will then add 9 pillars, right, on summon. We will activate Dinglong's other effect to then send Chiwin from deck to grave, making it a level 1, setting up for our opponent's turn, right? So with this board state, we have 2 interruptions with Doka. We have an Omni Negate with 9 pillars. And then on our opponent's turn, when we destroy the Chiwin with 9 pillars, we can then trigger Dinglong's effect and Chiwin, which is going to go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 to protect against Ash, right? Chiwin will summon itself. Then we will summon Bean from the deck, right? And then we can trigger Bean's effect to synchro summon and make Herald, which gives us another Omni Negate. So we get 4 interruptions with 2 cards, not to mention what other cards may be in your hand, whether it be an Ash, Call by, anything along those lines that'll also help with more interruptions. So, the combo's pretty solid, and that's just pure Dino Engine of the deck without seeing Starfrost. So, that's the other combo. Appreciate you guys checking out the video, as always, and support. If you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. This is your boy, Charles, the face of trade tables, signing out. Peace.
Most valuable player going hard all season. I make the game look easy. I give them something to believe in. If I'ma do it for a reason. Only day one, homies, who you see me with. Damn right, that's the same clip. And we all be on the same ish. If we gon' do it like we mean it. MVP going hard all season. I make the game look easy. I give him something to believe in. If I'ma do it for a reason. Only day one, homies, who you see me with. Damn right, that's the same clip. And we all be on the same mission. If we gon' do it like we mean it.